Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures Podcast. We're here to bring you the latest and greatest gaming news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and this is episode 351. So for those who are watching live, apologies for the late start time. It was, once again, kiddos taking a long time to finally get to sleep. And I did not want to miss 2 weeks in a row because there is some spicy Wizards of the Coast news. There's 2 news items this week from Wizards of the Coast. And I really wanted to make sure that they were discussed because they are disgusting. So, yeah. Otherwise, hope everyone's had a great 2 weeks. And looking forward to a 3-day weekend if you're here in the United States. So, don't want to have this run on too long. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's news topics. All right, so first up is our first bit of Wizards of the Coast news. D&D Beyond is announcing, or announced rather, that it is changing its subscriber perks program. So the way it worked before was if you had a subscription, like each month they would do, usually it was like a virtual dice set. Sometimes it was like little extras like that, or like profile avatars and things like that, like for your character sheets. All cosmetic features that would also become available like in the shop later, or usually become available in the shop later. So it was like if you were subscribed during the month that it was out, you essentially unlocked it for free, and then it was always available for your account, even should your subscription lapse. It's being changed now to instead, but at the same time, if you didn't have a subscription when it came out, then you kind of missed your window for it. It's being changed now to while you have a subscription, you have access to the whole library of drops. And when you, if for whatever reason you cancel your subscription or your subscription lapses, you then lose access to that whole library. So it's no longer like you unlock it and you always have it. Now, if this was like entirely cosmetic features, it's still not necessarily as great, but if it's just cosmetic features, whatever. But they've said that they will start putting DM and player content in these drops. This is bad. This is bad. So this is the first bad part, right? Is that they're actually putting content behind this. So it's no longer that you can unlock it and then always have it available, right? The second part is that if you have a master subscription, right, which like most dungeon masters do, so that they can share content with their players, these are going to be, unless something's changed since the first announcement, these are exempt from that. So that's also bad. Like it's a double whammy of badness right there. So, yeah, my hope is that they definitely walk it back. Because that's kind of gross. It's also, what's going to happen is, like, if you're a group, if you're like my groups where I have a master tier subscription and so I share the content, what is to stop me from duplicating whatever that content, like for player options and player content? Like, why wouldn't people just homebrew it? And then just share the homebrew? Like, this is not going to do anything to boost subscriber numbers, and all it's done is just generate a bunch of bad will. So this definitely sounds like something that came up with this idea. Sounds like it's the same people who do things to boost engagement metrics over at the Warcraft team. It definitely, it's definitely like leadership team type stuff, and not people who are actually working on the product. So yeah, I'm not enthusiastic about it, and you know, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the player content will just be bad, and no one will care. That is also the possibility. So yeah. I don't know. I could see it being the case. Maybe that's where they'll start dropping like Unearthed Arcana or like playtest content, which, yeah, I don't know. Again, it just seems like this is just a stupid idea. If you can already copy the stuff into homebrew, like, are they going to start restricting the homebrew because of it? Like, that would absolutely cause even more headaches and ill will towards a company that can't afford it right now. So, yeah. First bit of bad news for Wizards of the Coast. And like, they keep doing this. And it's disappointing. Like, they didn't have to make this change. Unless, like, Hasbro's pushing them for more money, because we live in late stage capitalism. So, yeah. And as far as I know, that change is like live now. So, so that's, great. Cool. Next up, this is Game Informer reports that Destiny 2 will receive its final content update in June. That's right, folks. All good things must come to an end, and it looks like it's time for Destiny 2's to come to an end. After that final content update, active development of the game will cease, and it will be put essentially into maintenance mode, which is a term Heroes of the Storm and Warcraft Rumble fans are all too familiar with. And let's see. It said something. On the same day, Destiny 2, along with its content packs, will be bundled into a single purchase called Destiny 2 The Collection that includes every campaign, dungeon keys, the 30th anniversary pack, and more. Standard or standalone expansions and content packs will be permanently discounted. So, fans of the game, it sounds like it will still be supported in the sense that, like, the servers aren't going to be taken offline. So there is still that. But, yeah, it's always a sad day when a game's active development ends, but it's definitely noteworthy. So, and considering, like, I don't know what else Bungie's doing. So I don't know. Maybe they felt that it's time to move on to other. Maybe Sony wants them to move on to other projects. So yeah. That is that for Destiny 2. So, hope everyone who continues to play is still able to get their enjoyment out of the game. But it also begs the question of, like, what happens with, like, some of these bigger games. Like, at some point, I don't know when, but, like, at some point, World of Warcraft is going to cease active development. And, like, that is a massive game to just put into maintenance mode. So, I mean, I don't think it's likely to happen anytime soon, because it seems to be Blizzard's biggest cash cow at this point. But, like, it's an interesting thought exercise of, like, like an MMO that goes into maintenance mode. So just some food for thought, and yeah, I figured it was noteworthy enough to include in this week's news. Next bit of news, interesting bit of news, is y'all remember Embracer Group? We've covered Embracer Group several times on the podcast. Normally, for it bought up a whole bunch of studios and then like was going to go bankrupt, and so then it sold off a bunch of studios. Well, it looks like it's still happening, folks. It is going to spin off Fellowship Entertainment as its own publicly traded company. Fellowship Entertainment is basically the development studio that covers like their biggest IPs. So this will include Kingdom Come Deliverance, Tomb Raider, Lord of the Rings, Dead Island, Darksiders, and Remnant. And, well, the company aims to release at least 2 major games annually beginning fiscal year 2027-2028. Man, that's aggressive. So I don't know if it's like, if with all of those different teams, if it has enough teams to be able to do that. But the remaining Embracer entity will focus on a, quote, more efficient structure, tighter cost control, and disciplined capital allocation, which to me sounds like them admitting they grew too big too quickly and bought too many things, and now shareholders are coming to collect. They will begin segment reporting in Q1 fiscal year 2026-2027 to prepare for the split. Follows a report of a 24% decline in fourth quarter net sales. Gives the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Full year accounts show Embracer reduced its total game development projects from 94 to 79 and laid off about 800 people. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad. Embracer has proven to be just like a terrible company. So I'm glad that this is getting spun off. And hopefully, I really hope that that they don't burn themselves out with that aggressive release schedule. And it might be that they have all these projects like in the works already. So who knows? I mean, it being publicly traded is a little worrisome. I would rather see these places like privately owned by someone who cares about, employee well-being. But if they're going to be publicly traded, then maybe they should also look at unionization. Just saying. So, yeah, hopefully this is good news for Fellowship Entertainment, that, they can kind of, that they don't have to answer to Embracer anymore. So, yeah, good news for them, I suppose. Our final bit of news. Oh boy, we're back to Wizards of the Coast, and this one's a doozy. Kotaku, and like, I've made my preference for not picking stories from Kotaku on the show before. But when something is enough of a doozy of a story. Sometimes you got to do it. Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have hired Fisher Phillips to represent them in regarding union matters. Fisher Phillips is a known employer advocacy firm that also like kind of specializes in union avoidance. So that's like the first part. The part that gets me is they also sent letters to staff to pressure them against joining the union. And it's like, companies keep doing these things when in every case it's been that like the public finds out and there's backlash. And it's like with Wizards of the Coast, why would you do anything that would cause public backlash? Like, I don't understand. Like, if the people making these decisions are so insulated from actual feedback the company receives that they're just like, oh, this might be a good idea to do. Like, surely the public doesn't already hate us. Like, do they just look at like the money and not realize public opinion? So yeah, it was a letter stating about like make sure you think about the relationship you want to have with Wizards of the Coast. And it's like, I mean, joining the union is exactly what they're doing. Like, and this is again, specifically it was for the Arena team. So that works on the essentially digital Magic the Gathering client. But it's just like, so you have recent, however size controversy you want to say, but they are controversies happening on both like the D&D side and the Magic side of the business. Like, guys, at some point you have to realize that whoever is making these decisions needs to put down the shovel. Like, you gotta stop digging. So yeah, I fully expect this to go over real well. And surely it won't backfire and cause more employees to join the union. I've made my stance clear on the show before. I absolutely wish them the best of luck, and I hope they absolutely they push back real hard on management there. I say to United Wizards of the Coast CWA, wholeheartedly, best of luck. And I hope they get everything. I hope that with negotiations, they get everything they want, which admittedly isn't even asking for much. It's like, please stop making us, don't make us use either generative AI or workflow AI. And, for employees that are already remote, keep them remote, because the work has already been shown to be able to be done remotely. The reasons that I boiled down, those were like two of the big ones. And it's like, these are not unreasonable demands. So, this is just more Wizards gonna wizard and mess everything up again. It's like they seem to wait just long enough for the public to get over like whatever the latest controversy was before they start messing things up again. So Yeah. That is going to wrap things up this week. A little bit of a shorter show this week, but again, mostly Wizards of the Coast dominated news. And I don't have any new games to review because my time has mostly been World of Warcraft and Pokopia. I did mention 2 weeks ago that I was going to think about like streaming Lorcana more, and then I had a bit of a crash out with Duels.inc and deleted it for a while. I have put it. I have re-added it back to my browser, and I think I just have to accept that I'm just bad. That I just pick bad decks and you know, or just don't want to play the meta decks right now. But I might try and look at streaming that. I would like to do more Lorcana content. So I will make sure to post that. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but we do have a Discord. The link should be available both in like the show notes as well as, if you watch live, there should be like a button to join the Discord. I have put some protections in place to prevent bots and scammers since there have been an influx lately. So if you have to go through a bit of a process to join, if it's too onerous of a process, please send me a message. But that is the reason for it. That said, if you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can check out 8bitadventures.com. Over there, you can find the webcomic, podcast links, all that stuff, and more. If you would like to help support that content, you can do so by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Or you could subscribe on YouTube, on Twitch, or simply leaving a 5-star review on the iTunes store or the podcast app. I don't know what it's changed a couple times, but wherever you get your podcasts, leave a 5-star review. And finally, our opening theme, as always, is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, we're done for the week. We'll see you next time. So as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.